Welcome to Hood War Stories. In this episode, I'll be discussing the Athens Park Bloods. The Athens Park Bloods are a Black American gang located in the Willowbrook area of Los Angeles. They originated in the 1970s. During that time, Tookie Williams and James Barnes went to Athens Park in an attempt to recruit more Crips. Eugene Battle, also known as Taboo, declined the offer. Allegedly, Eugene knocked out James in the middle of Athens Park. Eugene and Cowboy are considered the forefathers of the Athens Park Bloods. APB's territory stretches from 120th Street to El Segundo, between Avalon and the 110 freeway. APB members are known to wear the Los Angeles Angels hat to show their affiliation. They have a few notable members that have made appearances in Hollywood movies. Bone appeared in the popular movie Training Day and has directed several films. APB has two main alliances, one with the Devil Lanes, known as the Athens Lanes. There are other alliances with the Miller Gangsta Bloods, known as the Athens Millers. They are also on good terms with Westside Pyru and the BPS Jungles. Many members are known to congregate in Athens Park or the South Bay Villas, also known as the APs. Their mortal enemies are the 1180 East Coast Crips, who are located directly above them. Their other main rivals are Raymond Avenue Crips, who are located directly west of them. One of the most notorious members of the Athens Park Bloods was a man named Chizo. His father was allegedly a Cuban drug lord. Don't let his clean-cut appearance fool you. He had a ruthless reputation in the streets. On November 27th, 1983, Chizo was allegedly set up by this girl named Bridget. Bridget lived in 1180 East Coast Crip territory, but was dating a Main Street Crip at the time. The next morning, Bridget was found hung from a tree across the street from Locke High School. A worker from the South Central Multi-Purpose Child Development Center found her and contacted authorities. Some of her friends said that Bridget, who had two sons, may have been distressed over personal issues, but her family, especially her father, refused to believe that. Relatives told police that they believed she was killed. Both the boyfriend and her father did deny that Bridget may have been troubled. Her father said that he was worried when she didn't come home that Sunday night. Sadly, one of her children passed away shortly after her death. Another reputable member from Athens Millers was OG Cyclone. He was known for getting money and had many business dealings. In 1989, he was accused of ripping off the Grape Street Crips of dope money. He was then allegedly kidnapped and tortured before being murdered by the Grape Street Crips. The Athens Park Bloods are also known for their aggressive foot patrol. One day, a Carver Park Crip went to Athens Park to play basketball, thinking it was all good. The Athens Park Bloods beat up the Crip and knocked his teeth out. On a different occasion, they caught a 15-year-old from 1180 East Coast trying to tag up a wall in their territory. But this time, they opened fire on the Crip, killing him on the spot. In 1988, Dennis Santos, also known as Brick from Athens, was shot and killed. He was only 15 years old. It was later confirmed that the 1180 East Coast Crips were responsible for the shooting. Shortly after this time, an OG from Athens was shot and confined to a wheelchair, allegedly by 11-8. Back and forth shootings occurred nightly between the two sets. Shortly after 7 p.m. on Sunday, July 7th, 1991, Katie and her 14-month-old daughter, Michelet, arrived at their Willowbrook home. Katie's brother John and Albert were in the front yard. Katie then parked her car on the street in front of the house. She put Michelet on the sidewalk and began to unload the trunk. John then saw a blue Cherokee turn onto the street with loud music playing. The car approached slowly with the windows down. John said he saw 3 Black American males in the car. The man sitting behind the driver was light-skinned, had a jerry curl, and his ears poked out of his head. The light-skinned black male put his arms and upper body through the window. He was holding a black firearm in both hands out in front of him. Without saying a word, he began firing. Albert was shot in the shoulder and fell to the sidewalk bleeding. As Katie went toward him, she was hitting the left leg above the knee. John ran toward Michelet, but he fell when a bullet struck him in the right leg and shattered his thigh bone. He crawled toward Michelet, who was lying on her back in the yard. Michelet had been shot in the face. He covered her with his body so that Katie could not see her. Before help arrived, Michelet died. 2 months later, the police came to Vernon's home to interview him about the shooting. Vernon cooperated. He told police that he was in the car with Daryl and Sean when the drive-by shooting occurred. He ended up testifying at trial and was granted immunity in exchange for his testimony. Sean, also known as Cowboy from the 1180 East Coast Crips, was convicted of first-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. Sean smirked when Katie Jones asked why did he do it. He was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms. APB has also had beef with the Pappy Hood Crips. On March 10th, 2000, the Pappy Hood Crips slid on Athens and left David with a bullet in his body. After being shot, David asked a fellow gang member named Ron to help him retrieve a gun. The next day, David, Ron, and K-Down picked up a .48 caliber handgun and some bullets for K-Down's .38. The 3 men then went to Wilmington Street in Compton. Notorious and Thornell were walking on Wilmington near 132nd Street. Ron pulled up to the side of them and David yelled out, "Hey, foot crabs!" David and K-Down fired a total of 5 shots at Notorious and Thornell. Notorious was seriously injured and Thornell was killed. After the shooting, a witness provided a partial license plate number and description of the shooter's car. The next morning, the police detained and arrested Ron Johnson. Ron Johnson, from Athens, was convicted of second-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and attempted murder. He was sentenced to 90 years to life. On June 23rd, 2000, at around 8 p.m., as the sun was setting, a large group of young men were gathered in the parking lot of Athens Park. That day, Athens Park was packed with kids on bikes, men playing basketball, mothers pushing strollers, and couples walking under trees. A white SUV then pulled into the parking lot right next to the group. Suddenly, a hail of gunfire erupted. Parkgoers dove for cover. Children jumped off their bikes and scampered into nearby houses. When the gunfire stopped, there were 9 young men collapsed on the ground with bullets in their body. The white SUV then drove away with 2 assault rifles poking out its windows, aimed back at people in the crowd. 7 of the 9 men hit were members of the Athens Park Bloods. One of the 9 men shot died from his injuries. His name was Melvin Williams. He was a father. His son Melvin Williams Jr., also known as Melly, followed in his footsteps. He also became an Athens Park Blood, but he was different. He was a student athlete with a passion for football and rapping. He was good friends with the rapper RJ, who was also from Athens. He graduated from Tabor College in 2019 before heading to Germany, where he played professional football until the pandemic started. While waiting to return, he came back to Los Angeles to be around his family and friends. On July 23rd, 2021, Melly had just arrived at his home in Gardena. Before he could make it inside, he was shot down. Allegedly, he was followed by some unknown assailants, and they had been waiting for him outside his home. The murder has gone unsolved, but people are speculating that it could have been rivals. Others are saying that he could have been backdoored. He had a promising future that was cut short. He was only 26 years old. The Athens Park Bloods are the main rivals of the Raymond Avenue Crips. On August 15, 2010, at around 12:45 p.m., Christopher and Arnold, who were from Athens, entered the territory of the Raymond Avenue Crips, armed with handguns. There they spotted a group of black males outside of a residence. Christopher then shot a shotgun Crip, then opened fire on the individuals. Christopher was accidentally shot by Arnold as he aimed at the rival gang members. A sheriff deputy received a call to respond to the hospital. At the hospital, the sheriff searched Arnold for weapons and asked him what happened. Christopher died at the hospital. A Los Angeles County coroner conducted an autopsy and determined Christopher's cause of death was bleeding, caused by a single bullet to the back. The direction of the bullet was back to front, right to left, and top to bottom. Authorities believe Christopher shouted out the name of another gang because that would misdirect retaliation, throw off police investigation, and cause fighting amongst enemies. The Raymond Avenue Crips had rivalries with both Athens and the Shotgun Crips. Arnold was ultimately found guilty of second-degree murder and 3 counts of attempted murder. He was sentenced to 70 years to life. As previously stated, the Athens and Miller Gangsta Bloods have a close alliance that goes back decades. They are synonymous, as many members claim both sets. LA rapper El Suave was a member of the Miller Gangsta Bloods. On January 9th, 2022, at around 10:40 p.m., the 190 East Coast Crips were having a Hood Day party at a warehouse near 35th and Hill. Earl managed to get the location. Him and a few gang members got in a car and headed up to the party. There was a large crowd outside of the warehouse when they pulled up. Allegedly, Earl exited his vehicle, approached the party, and fired into the crowd. As Earl was running back to his car, someone returned fire and struck him. 5 people were shot. Earl got into the car and drove away from the scene. Shortly after, he lost control of his vehicle and crashed into the back of a truck. He was taken to the hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Police said it appeared that he was the only person inside the vehicle. However, there may have been other passengers who got out of the vehicle and left him for dead. I'd like to thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.